Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, we're talking some boxing here. We're going to talk about the first round between Sergey Kovalev and Anthony Yarde, looking at the strategy of both guys, how successful they were in implementing their strategies. You can always subscribe to my channel if you like this video, comment, you can also share, and you can also donate via Western Union or MoneyGram if you so wish. Let's get into it. Sergey Kovalev, what would be his strategy? Keep behind the jab. Everything he does is behind his jab. That's basically it, to keep Anthony Yarde at range, establish his jab. Anthony Yarde, what is his strategy? Since he's the shorter guy, not the shorter guy, but the guy with the shorter reach, he's going to look to counter Sergey Kovalev's excellent jab. So let's see if both guys succeed at doing what they want to do in this fight, in this first round. Let's get going. And the round begins right now. So the first thing that you see in this round, the first landed punch is a jab to the pit. This is done by Anthony Yarde. I can't tell you how important a jab to the pit is. A jab to the pit sucks the energy out of a fighter. Now, Sergey Kovalev did get knocked back a little bit. He did try to throw his jab as well. And Anthony Yarde, because he changed levels, would have gone underneath Sergey Kovalev's jab. It was an in and out movement as well. Notice Anthony Yarde again. In range, out of range. Okay? Notice he's not trying to engage and walk down Sergey Kovalev in the first round because both guys have power, so they got to respect each other's power. Let's keep it moving. So Sergey Kovalev does double jabs to Anthony Yarde's head. He's trying to establish his jab. Anthony Yarde is out of range. Comes in, jabs to the body. It doesn't land. It's parried, but nonetheless, Anthony Yarde is responding with check hook. So he's going to counter the jab, like I said before. Okay, I like this. I want to stop that for a minute. So what happened there, Sergey Kovalev followed up with a double jab, and after the jab, he started to throw his lead right. It didn't land, but he threw his lead right. Now, there's something important for people to understand. I know a lot of people talk about Anthony Yarde, you know, he keeps his shoulder low. But I'm gonna show you an instance where he keeps his shoulder low, and I'll tell you what's really going on. But I'm gonna explain it right now. He uses remote footwork, which means his lower body is in a different plane to his upper body. He's leaning forward, which is called virtual distance. That means he's not really, his feet are really where he is and not where he's leaning forward. So what he does is he's goading the opponent in so he can counterpunch them, and he just simply rotates his body into the plane that his lower body's in, and by doing so, he's able to roll the punch. So this is what exactly happened here. Sergey Kovalev double jabbed, and then he threw the lead right, thinking he could catch Anthony Yarde on his chin. But that was just an illusion. Anthony Yarde just rocked back and caught the punch on his shoulder. All right, and bounced off his shoulder. That's what happened. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay, right there, I'm so sorry you didn't see that, but I'm going to talk about it in a minute. First of all, right there, before this, I'm going to talk about this scene in a minute. But before that scene, what happened? Anthony Yarde actually landed a jab on Sergey Kovalev, and Sergey Kovalev now, when he was within range, check hooked him and knocked him to the side. So in this fight, we've had a jab to the pit, a check hook by Sergey Kovalev, and Anthony Yarde jabbed to Sergey Kovalev's chest and hit him in the chest. Okay. This is now, you can see Anthony Yarde slipping the jab and landing a jab of his own. So Kovalev tried to jab Anthony Yarde, but Anthony Yarde slips the jab. So what people don't understand is that Anthony Yarde has a plethora of skills, okay? And he's a lot more complex than it looks. Sergey Kovalev's more straight up and down. That is to say, his upper body, as you can see here, is in the same plane with his lower body. Anthony Yarde, his upper body is not in the same plane as his lower body, okay? Anyways, so when people say that Anthony Yarde, he's too square, he's not too square, okay? It's that he's going to simply rotate his upper body into the plane of his lower body and roll punches. And he got a number of different stances as well. Let's keep it moving though. His time is everything. So you see he's catching the jab, he's catching the body jabs. In and out movement by Anthony Yarde. Sergey Kovalev all the time is trying to gear up to throw a jab. See, he feints to throw the jab. He doubles up his jab, but Anthony Yarde is out of range. Tries to jab to the pit there, and Anthony Yarde tried to check hook him. So every time Sergey Kovalev jabs, Anthony Yarde tries to counter that jab, right? And he's trying to do it with a check hook in this case. Kovalev has thrown a number of jabs, but not any of his jabs so far have landed. A check hook has landed, but not any body jabs or head jabs. Nonetheless, he's mixing it up from the body to the head. He just threw a jab to the body that was parried downwards, but let's see what happens here. Jab to the body again, parried downwards, and then he throws a jab to the head, and Anthony Yarde slips and moves backwards. Throws a jab to the body, parried downwards. Anthony Yarde well protects his body. Again, he's feinting as if he's going to throw a jab. This time, Anthony Yarde got hit with a jab, I think. I don't know. I'm thinking so. He mixes it up, throws the jab to the head, throws back the jab to the body that I think landed there. I could be wrong. He feints as if he's going to go the body to the head, then he jabs to the body. Anthony Yarde check hooks him at the same time. And there he throws a left and a right on Kovalev. He's using an up jab, and then he jabs to the body. Okay? Very tricky. Okay, beautiful. And then Kovalev comes in, trying to close the distance, and he throws a right to the body. Anthony Yarde check hooks him at the same time, and check hooks him all the way across. So the check hook really landed. So again, Yarde is the counterpuncher here, and he's the guy circling Kovalev. Kovalev's the aggressor. Okay? Let's keep it moving. So is Kovalev establishing his jab? Is he getting the success that he actually wants? Yes and no. He's establishing his jab, but Yarde is still darting in and out, and is able to land certain punches. Like he got the check hook in. Of course, he's getting his jab in to the body, particularly to the pit area. He's getting that jab in when he tries to do it. Anyways, Kovalev still trying to establish his jab on the outside. A lot of people were saying in round one, Kovalev, from round one dominated Anthony Yarde, and I'm just showing you guys it's not exactly the case. But let's just keep it moving. There, Kovalev landed a shot on Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde lands a jab to the chest area in response. Kovalev throws a jab to Anthony Yarde's body. I don't know if it lands. He doubles up his jab and lands a jab to Anthony Yarde's nose. Just kind of barely touched him, but he still landed. Let's keep it moving. They exchange jabs. They exchange jabs again. Anthony Yarde slips that jab this time. Anthony Yarde tries to throw a hook. Kovalev trying to throw a jab. Both missed. Jab to the pit this time by Kovalev landed. Another jab at the pit that landed. Anthony Yarde trying to counter it. And then with the up jab again. Nice right to the body there by Kovalev. Anthony Yarde, again, throwing that check hook all the time. This time a right to the body landed by Anthony Yarde. And this time a jab to the head and a right to the body landed. And another jab to the head landed by Anthony Yarde. Jab to the body there landed by Kovalev. Another jab to the body, probably parried by Anthony Yarde, but I can't tell. And that's the end of the round. And if you look at this round, being honest with yourself, that's a close round. Kovalev started to look like he was getting some momentum with the jab and actually landing that jab to the body, establishing the jab to the body. Anthony Yarde, on the other hand, was also landing some good jabs to the body himself. He started off the round with a jab to the body. And Anthony Yarde was trying to counter Kovalev, and he had mixed success with that. So, at the end of the day, I could have given this round to either Kovalev or Anthony Yarde, but if you look at it in round one, it was a competitive round. So you can't say, oh, Kovalev, he actually won that round. Did Kovalev do what he wanted to do? By the end of the round, he did some of it. He wasn't absolutely successful, but he did some of it. Did Anthony Yarde do what he wanted to do? Again, by the end of the round, he was successful with some of it, right? So when you look at that round, that's a pick'em round. That could be a round that you give Anthony Yarde. It's a round you could give Kovalev. It's who you like better. You could say Kovalev was much more busy with his jab. He was the busier guy, so he should get the round. Or you could look at it as the more accurate guy was Anthony Yarde. Whenever he threw his jab, whenever he, tried to either throw a jab, he was successful with that. He wasn't so successful with his power punches, neither was Kovalev, but he was successful with throwing his jab whenever he threw it. So it depends on how you look at it, right? But you can see that Anthony Yarde was investing to the body, so it was mostly jab to the pit. He wasn't trying to jab to the head. Kovalev, on the other hand, because he knew he has to be jabbing all night, he had to mix it up. Try and feint to the body, go to the head, feint to the head, go to the body, those different things. All right, guys, so that was round one. Now, some of you guys say that was a Kovalev round, but really, it's a pick'em round. You could have picked Anthony Yarde, you could have picked Kovalev. It depends on who you like. So I just wanted to leave that there and also demonstrate the skills that Anthony Yarde had and the skills that Kovalev had. And that's why I said Anthony Yarde is a much more skilled boxer than Sergey Kovalev. Sergey Kovalev is really good with the jab, but Anthony Yarde himself is not bad. He's not a slouch with the jab, especially the fact that he doesn't even have a reach advantage. And his in and out movement was kind of confusing Kovalev, obviously. And he was trying to establish that I'm going to counterpunch you if you try to come in. So Kovalev was very cautious coming in, as he should have been. If Anthony Yarde, and this is, you got to think about this. This guy has almost next to nothing in an amateur background, and he only got 17 pro fights. No way nobody with that kind of background supposed to be facing against Kovalev. Kovalev was supposed to dust him. He wasn't supposed to belong in that ring with a guy like Kovalev. And this guy was literally, you look at the first round, you have to decide who you give the round to. Think about what I'm saying. And I say this for those detractors of Tunde Ajaya, who was saying that, or Ajaya, who was saying that, Anthony Yarde should drop him as a trainer. No, this guy took a guy with limited amateur fights and with limited pro fights. And this guy in the 8th round had the champion in all kinds of trouble. Okay? Think about what I'm saying. All right, you guys. You guys have a good one.